The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my own personal merch store, the Stupid Should Hurt merch store. I have hats, I have t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, water bottles, notebooks, you name it, I've got it. The description and the link for that will be in the description of this episode. Also, right now, if you use the promo code WELCOME, I will give you 5% off of your first purchase. That's the Stupid Should Hurt merch store. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link, Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans, as it is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great guest for us today, but before I get into that, I do need to mention we did land another new sponsor for the show, Ohio's own Buddy's Beard Care, from my good friend and comedian, Buddy Holly. Beard care products, locally sourced here in Ohio. Support local. Everything is American-made. It is a phenomenal company. I've been using these products for a couple of months now. My beard has never felt softer. It has never been thicker, and it's growing faster than before. It is phenomenal products. Go to buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15. You'll save yourself 15% off of that. That being said, my guest today, he's got a lot. He's an in higher education. We're going to talk about all that. Alexander Doyle joins the show. Alexander, thanks for joining, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. So, tell everyone, a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where'd you grow up, high schools, all that kind of fun stuff, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I went to high school at Lutheran East on Mayfield there. Grew up in the Cleveland area around St. Clair. After that, I went to Fisk University in Tennessee, where I got my bachelor's and master's. And I work in residence life and higher education. So I've been around a couple of states after that. I was at Notre Dame College for 3 years, and then we found out a couple months ago that this would be the last semester they would have classes. So, that journey, trying to find employment after that, was interesting. But now I'm currently at Kentucky State University, just one state down from the great state of Ohio. So I can always go up there and see some family friends in Cleveland, not too far away. But that's currently where I'm at right now.
Yeah, we're going to get into the whole Notre Dame situation here a little bit later. But, I believe you have both a bachelor's and a master's degree. Where did you get those both? We said in Tennessee, or, where did you get your degrees in, and what are they in?
Yeah, I got them at Fisk University, HBCU in Nashville, Tennessee. They are in general psychology. So I pretty much use that in the higher education field with working with adolescents and like 18 to 22-year-olds in residence life, just really helping from the behavior aspect of what they're doing, coming from their home away from home, making sure that we can provide them the best customer service, but letting them know that, the environment is different from where you're from. When you have roommates, you may not be comfortable with them, trying to learn how to analyze each other. Sometimes you have people from California, New York in the first space, being roommates with each other. And so, I pretty much use my degree, like, how can we make this environment better? How can you learn from the other person and from their attributes and what represents them, so you can learn a little bit more about your roommate on a daily basis?
Yeah, I got to tell you, as somebody who my first semester got just paired up with somebody in college, didn't know them, come from different states. There was a little bit of, a learning process about that person, and, two completely different backgrounds. I was an athlete. I was a swimmer. So I wasn't around a lot, I guess. I was always at the rec center facility, training, whatnot. And he was, and I hate to use this term, but I don't know how else to explain it, but he was the band nerd and the band geek and, the musician and everything like that. So having those worlds collide, I mean, we still communicate to this day. And this, almost 10 years later, a little over 10 years later, we still communicate to this day, and we grew a friendship. But making that easier, I wish we had something like that at my campus, because it would have been easier to know that, hey, we actually had a lot in common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we try to improve our matchmaking process with like on the application, like, do you like to get up early? Do you like to study late? Do you like to listen to music? So we try to have those attributes on the application, try to match up the best qualities and qualifications that someone may share with anybody else. So we want to try to make the process a little smoother as technology, advances this day and age.
Yeah, I wish they had those when I was in college ages ago. But yeah, it would have made the process a little easier. But, so is that exactly what you do for work right now at your current job, in higher education? Is that kind of your day-to-day kind of role right now, or, is there other aspects that go into it?
There's a little more aspects of it. I am the associate director of housing and resident life, so I supervise the resident directors who are over a building where the residents live in. So just making sure that on a day-to-day basis that they're doing like their room checks, they're making sure that any documentation process is going to our tribunal counsel for like if any residents have any infractions, like if they break any rules or policies. So we're just basically just trying to make the environment better for every resident. And of course, I always tell my staff that there's more residents than me. So pretty much every day you're going to wake up to some type of situation or some type of something that needs attention with the residents. So that's why I have my staff there, who are a couple of them are actually alumni of the college, so they know the ins and outs. So it was really helps my job more effective and better for them as well.
Yeah, so what made you want to get into that role, with the college and being in residence life? Because I did a little bit of work study when I was there and helped out in the residence life area, and I got to tell you, it really wasn't for me. So what made you want to get into that role?
Yeah, in my sophomore year in college, I seen that there were student workers who were called resident assistants, and they were really helping out residents to be more comfortable inside their resident hall. So that was something that I wanted to apply for. I didn't get it the first year I applied, but then the next year, someone called me up and was asked if I was interested for it. And I said, sure, this is something I want to do. So ever since I was doing that, I really kind of stayed in the field where I could just really like help back and give the residents in the halls like a more home away from home feel, that I could make their experience better than what they came in. So I always tell my staff that, each resident, we want to make sure that when it comes a freshman, we want them to leave different when they leave as a senior. You never want to come in the same place as you are. You always want to take some learning aspect, some different type of this or that with you, so you can make yourself better in the profession that you want to do. So really just put myself out there and just really helping the residents be more comfortable and providing them the customer service when they're at a university outside of the classroom.
Yeah, I know. I relate, the little bit of time that I spent, helping out in residence life to what I do now. And I'm a stand-up comedian, and kind of like what you said, you got to know your audience, I guess, for sake of a better term. For you, it's the residents. For me, it's a room full of strangers that are, I'm trying to make laugh. And, be comfortable in the space because there's all different types of people with all different types of backgrounds, and you got to bring them together for however long the show is, and it's rewarding at the end of the day. I'm working with the company. I'll give them a shameless plug on here right now. Slapstick Comedy out of Columbus, Ohio. And they're working to put together a prison tour. We're going to be going in and performing for the inmates. I've done this already this year, and it was by far the best show I've done in my 12 years of doing comedy. And you see these inmates, and people think, you're performing for criminals, and that it's like, no, they're still people, and so many of them came up to me after the show and were like, you know what? You just gave me 6 more months of peace, and you made me feel like a person. For the first time, I haven't felt like a person in years that I've been incarcerated in this institution. I was like, you know what? That is why I do this. That is why I do comedy. The pay, the money's going to come. It's so much more rewarding to me to hear that after a show than people just listening to the jokes and then leaving, and you don't know if you've affected them any at all. Do you have anything like that with what you do when you interacting with the students and anything like that and the residents that you made that connection?
Yeah, basically because I was in their shoes before. I was once a resident in college, and going to some student workers or some staff members that can help my experience better. So now I'm on that side where I can make sure that that's given to the residents, making sure that we're there for the support that they need for those engaging conversations to make them, to help them matriculate their journey in their college. So, I'm there now to make their life, as easier as possible because, they're away from their family and from their friends that they grew up in. So to try to build those relationships with the residents, really helps me at the end of the day and lets me know, hey, this is something that I should be doing. I'm glad that I'm doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I want to get into this too as well. You worked at Notre Dame College this past year, and, like you said, sadly, the school has closed now. We're into June and July, so the school, I believe, has since been closed down. What was it like having to help finish out the school year and help close a school? You don't hear about that. So what was that process like when you hear about these institutions that are, sadly to say, shutting down?
Well, the workload was a little different because normally around that time frame, we found out at the end of February, the beginning of March, normally we're preparing for the next year, making sure we have the applications rolled out, and just making sure that, we have our ducks in a row. But now that we know that that's not happening, the work culture shifted a little bit. Like we had to make sure that our residents were going to transfer to different places in a timely manner. We had to make sure that the students were taken care of first. At the same time, we also, had to consider about ourselves, like what are we going to do next, after the school closed. So it was just a lot of pressure, and time was starting to run out against us. But at the end of the day, we were there for the students, and we wanted to make sure that wherever they go, that they had the support and they had all the items that they needed so they wouldn't be lost out when the school year starts. It was a tough time, but, slowly but surely, I think we did the best that we could at Notre Dame for our students.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked to hear it because, as everyone knows here, the wonderful manager of the podcast here, Johnny Fitty Falcone, y'all work together up there, and he told me that, and it kind of like threw me as for a loop there because we've had several NDC guests on the show. Johnny was one, Beth Ford, Mike Shields, Duncan Williams, Mark Richmond, and a few others that are probably slipping my mind, and I apologize to them because I know they still listen to the show and everything like that if I forgot their name. But what was it like working with all of them in your time there before it was even shutting down? Because I know what my feelings towards them are, and I love all of them. So what was your feeling like towards them?
I remember Beth Ford. She was in my interview, and she's a very empathetic person. She cares a lot for the residents. She was working over the admissions department, and I believe she's at Walsh University now. But yes, I do remember working with her, making sure that our new application was going out for our applicants in a timely manner. I remember working with Mike Shields as he was one of the coaches for the teams as well too, making sure that the sports players are signed up for housing, making sure that they abide to the rules and regulations inside the resident halls. They really care for the residents as well. So we were a small community, so we weren't the residents. Students weren't just a number inside the classroom. Like we know them like by name and what they do, and they remember us as well. Working with not just those two, but some more coworkers. It's something that we wanted to do at Notre Dame. It was a small environment, and we were a family, and we were there to help and support each other.
Yeah, I came from, a small environment. Bethany College wasn't that big of a school. And, it was nice that you weren't just a number to them. Because I know my sisters went to WVU. I thought that was going to be the end goal for me, was going to WVU and everything like that. Didn't pan out the way I wanted to. It's all good. But, they didn't know me as student number 4562134, whatever the number may be. They actually knew me as Mike Bono, and that's not my actual name, Mike Bono. Right. I mean, my full name is Michael Bonaventura. But they didn't know me as that. Like all my professors called me Bono because that was my nickname. They knew the students on a level like that, and you appreciate that when you're at a college and they don't just see you as, oh, that's just another student that's here at this institution that's paying us a tuition to be here and to learn from our institution. It's great to know that and to have those people at school that, you grow that relationship with the staff and, your professors and your advisors and everybody else. Like, heck, the coffee shop that was in the middle of campus, as soon as I went in, they knew my order as soon as I walked in. And I would just walk up to the register and they'd be like, all right, $5. I wouldn't say a word. And it was like, what do you mean $5? They're like, you order the same thing when you come in here every day. It's $5, Mike. Give us your card and just move on. We already got it started for you. It's like, I appreciate that kind of service, Yeah. It's funny to think about now, but, it's people. That's what it is. But I got to ask you this, because everyone loves a good Johnny story. Did you get to interact with Johnny at all a lot at NDC, and what was that like? Because I know I've known Johnny for years since going back to Bethany, so it's always nice to get a different perspective from somebody.
Yeah, Johnny's he's an interesting character on the good side of being interesting. He's a straight shooter. He'll just tell you as it is. He'll just let you know the facts about whatever you want to talk about. He'll give you the intel on it. So I greatly appreciate his time there. When we were closing, he was even sending me some applications, some links that for me to fill out as well. And we were just talking about, what Notre Dame will look like after the next coming up years and stuff. So we spent some time, just really just being honest with each other and just having some good times at the same time. So definitely, appreciate the information that he gave and, a very good character overall.
How did you handle his energy level? I gotta ask this because my man is like the Energizer Bunny on cocaine. Like he is 152% into whatever he does. How did you handle that energy level?
We needed it. It was appreciated. I welcomed it with open arms, especially during the times that we were going with in the last year of Notre Dame. Like, we needed high energy and things to uplift us as well, because it was some somber times. It was times where we just didn't know what we were going to do next. What was our next paycheck going to look like? But with that energy, with being positive, it really helped myself to be positive and to keep looking for myself as well to see what's out there. So again, it was very appreciated that you can be in such high spirits during times like that where you don't know what's going to happen to you next couple of months. Just having that good faith, and just being positive, it was really appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, and I hate to have to talk about it too, but higher education is in a rough spot right now with a lot of schools closing or merging or dropping majors and sports and so on and so forth. What do you think a lot of these schools need to do to stay open and to stay relevant?
Yeah, I think a lot of them just really just need to just have a sit down with themselves and just realize, what do we have to do to survive in the future? Like, what And, looking at technology aspect, like what is going on out there that is attracting students to different colleges? What can we do to make our process more seamless and possible for students to get attracted to our schools? Just really start to look at the numbers and to see, do we have the programs? Do we have the outside events for our students to go to? Like, trying to handle like this FAFSA fiasco that's been going on, just trying to do the best thing that we can do to survive. So it's just a lot of questions that these schools need to start answering, just doing as much research as possible, because, like you said, like these are starting to be some critical times, especially for the smaller colleges.
Yeah.
Just having conversations like, can we survive, in the next 5 or 10 years? Do we need to look at other schools to possible, do a merger? So like the best thing that colleges can do now is start to ask the questions and be prepared in case that stuff does happen, and to be open and honest as possible with all faculty and staff members to let them know this is where we're at, this is the plan that we have, and this is what's going to happen, instead of just, at the last second, well, we tried this, and, this is the decision we're going to make. And that, that's going to be, detrimental, for your faculty and staff, for them to hear it and not to be a part of the healing process and part of, saving the school when they could have the time. So really just having those conversations with oneself is the best thing that we can do to continue our education.
Yeah, it's a tough time. I mean, like you said, there's so many colleges out there, and a lot of them are struggling. Like everyone's struggling, really. In all fairness, but it's when you see colleges dropping, sports programs and majors, and and ultimately like NDC closing down, like it's. I think we're leaning a lot on technology, and a lot of students. Hell, at my son's high school, there's an option for him to go online only in high school.
Wow.
Like that's an option. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I know COVID opened the eyes to a lot of people. We can do these remote learnings and all that, but my son is one of those people that he needs to be in a classroom. Mm-hmm. If he's left to his own devices, I love him to death. He will make the wrong decision every time. He's a 15-year-old boy. He's going to make the wrong decision every time. I was one too. I made the wrong decision every time. So yeah. I get that to a sense, but it's crazy to think about, because you don't think of them as like the colleges are ever going to go anywhere. Like you always just think, oh well, that's just where you go to school, and that's what happens. But I think technology, and we said it before we even started recording, because we thought we were going to have some camera issues with getting on Zoom here. And technology is great when it works, but it doesn't always work. And so I think, do you think a lot of these colleges are not acting on what could happen, but reacting to something that happened, and then they're just in a bad situation?
Yeah, it's definitely that reacting when something happens. Like I said earlier, like having those conversations and preparing for is going to help out a lot. And, back to your point, everything going technology, it's interesting because, that can happen, but then you're going to miss out on that social interaction, with other students from a high school standpoint. Like, if all your class are online, what about like the homecoming games? What about going to like sports events? What about like, your prom and all that stuff? Like, would they still do big events like that?
Yeah.
And if you were taking class online and then you do have those social aspect, it'll be, it may be a weird time, for a student trying to engage with each other, trying to have those face-to-face conversations, because they've only been doing online for that term. So, we noticed that big hiccup after COVID, trying to get students out their rooms and trying to get them to have roommates and go to social events. Like, it's a difficult time. So just doing all this stuff online, it really skips out on students learning from one each other and having that social aspect. So it's like a give or take, if you want to do everything on the technology side wise, and you're going to sacrifice those social interactions and the student engagement aspect of it.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I kind of saw a little bit of that firsthand a couple of summers ago. I helped out and I coached a local summer swim team. And, I was assistant coach there from ages 8 through high school, so 8 to 18. So it was a wide range of kids. We had like I want to say almost 90 kids on the swim team from in between those age ranges, and I was with the older high school, more experienced swimmers because I was a competitive swimmer from the time I was 8 all the way through college and everything like that. I've said it on here before. Had a chance at the 2012 Olympic trial, so I was a hell of a swimmer. So they stuck me with the more advanced kids, and there was one girl, and she, I mean, I hate to say this, but she bugged the crap out of me the entire time because she was always thinking she knew what to do in one of those. And I love the girl to death. She was a hell of a swimmer. She's a hell of a person, but she always bucked back. And then later on in the season, I found out that she was one of those people that was going online, but she was still swimming for the school.
Wow. Okay.
And it was just like, I don't understand that. How do you not go to school, especially in a high school setting, and not interact with your teammates and your friends on a daily basis, and you know, being in school? And that was I guess freedom for me when I was in high school, you know, getting to interact with my my football buddies, my swimming teammates, and both of those worlds colliding into one. It made me who I am today. And then I finally just asked her, I was like, so you go to school online, you do all your stuff online, and then you go to swim practice afterwards. She was like, yeah. I was like, so swim practice is really the only interaction you get with your teammates, or like, is there other stuff? And she's like, well, we're all friends, we all hang out. I was like, I understand that, but imagine how close of a teammate you would be if you were with them for 6 to 8 hours a day and then swim practice. Just go to school. Like, I don't understand people that just don't want to go and have face-to-face conversations. And I know it's weird saying that because we're doing this on Zoom, but you know, that's that's the way of technology. I realized that as I was saying it, we're doing this conversation on Zoom and on technology, but it's it's I don't understand it. I mean, could you shed any light on anything like that for me? Maybe, I don't know.
No, you know, I'm in the same boat as you. You know, as a matter of fact, you know, let's use, you know, your career as example. You know, like you said, you're a stand-up comedian. Could you imagine just doing all your shows over Zoom and not having that like live audience faces, but you can always see the reaction like on a camera, like you just on a day-to-day basis doing your shows and just only on like this internet base, you know, but not having like those, you know, seeing them how they reacting to your jokes or seeing like the environment of the room, like you can only see what's on your screen. Like just imagine that and just say go on those times.
I've lived that during COVID. We had it was Zoom shows. I did one.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stand it. I feed off of the crowd when I'm on stage. I feed off of the energy in the room. I do a lot of crowd work when I'm on stage. I use crowd work as transitions in between jokes. That's my style. That's what I do. I love it. I love interacting with the crowd. And I did a Zoom show, and I was like stuttering over jokes I have done for 10 years. Yep. I know this joke forwards and backwards, inside and out. Hell, my wife knows it because she's heard me say these jokes so many times. And doing it on Zoom, it was, and it was just like, I can't get a read off of anybody. I was like, thanks for the opportunity, guys. I'm never doing this again. I will wait for the world to open back up. I will write material, and I will come back with a whole new slew of jokes. I can't do this. And it's crazy to me. But yeah, I don't understand how you want to live through technology. I love technology. Like I said, it's great when it works, but it doesn't need to run your life.
I agree. Yep, I definitely agree.
But Alexander, we are running down near the end of the episode here. I do have to get this segment in. We haven't actually got to do it in a little while, and I love this segment and everybody's favorite segment, and that is the Fast Fitty 5. 5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone. And Alexander, these have nothing to do with what we've been talking about for the duration of this show here. They're kind of rapid fire. You can elaborate if you need to, but if you are ready, we'll get started with the Fast 55.
All right, here we go. Let's go.
All right. And a typical Fitty question off the rip. Who wins in a fight? 2 camels or 1 polar bear?
I think a polar bear. Yeah, polar bear is always fighting for his food. Camels is just there, so I'm going with the polar bear.
Solid answer. What's the most overrated flavor of ice cream?
I think chocolate. I'm just a vanilla guy, you know. Like every time somebody goes ice cream, oh, let's get some chocolate. No, I'll be basic and take vanilla. Thank you.
I love that answer. Oh man. Question number 3. Would you rather be cold the rest of your life or hot the rest of your life?
What's the bottom part? It say shot. What was it?
Cold the rest of your life or hot the rest of your life?
Oh man, I have to be cold. You know, I can just try to throw on a coat or something in a hat. But when you're hot, you're agitated. You're ready to fight. You don't think right. It's a problem within its own. You know, so yeah, give me the cold.
Yeah, right now this heat wave that we're in. I know when we're recording this. Yeah, no, the hell with this heat. I'm over it. Yeah, you can always put more layers on. You can only take so much off before it's game over.
You know, you're just not in the right place, and you're not yourself when you're hot. So
absolutely. Question number 4: is sausage or bacon better?
Sausage.
Okay. That's a bold stance where I come from.
Yeah, a breakfast sandwich. I can eat sausage, like sausage sandwiches with eggs on there. My always dispute. I think bacon is a topping and not a main ingredient. So I know people want to take me to the hills on that one, but bacon's delicious. I didn't say I didn't like bacon, but I just think it's just a topping and just not a main ingredient for a sandwich. Like you have a bacon sandwich, I'm like, okay, great. Put some sausage on it. Have a double sandwich. So
absolutely. Question number 5: what is your dream car to own?
I want a BMW because I was born in Germany. My father was in the military. My mother was pregnant at the time, so kind of want to have like all German everything. So I was German, German car. I was born in German, so I'm still an American citizen. Even though I was born over there. So give me a BMW.
As I was not expecting that because my dream car is way out there. It's not really that far out there. It's a '79 Dodge Charger. I love these cars. The old American muscle. I don't think you could beat it in mine. I just like the look of them too as well. But that was the Fast 55, and like I said, nothing to do with what we've been talking about for the entirety of the show. I love this segment. The listeners love this segment, and it's true Johnny fashion. In college, he would come up to me with these random scenarios, like the first question: all right, who wins in a fight? And it's the he came up to me one time, and it's a little off topic, and then we'll end the show here. But he came up to me one time at college, and I still remember this question because it still throws me for a loop every day. He goes, "All right, Bono, you lock Mike Tyson, Conor McGregor, Batman, and a polar bear in a racquetball court. Who comes out alive?" It's like, what are we doing? Like,
yeah.
Does Batman have his tool belt? I don't know. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I don't know who comes out of that.
Questions on the fly. Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, that's Johnny. I love him to death. He hits me with those questions on a daily basis. And so it's nice to give it back to the guests that come on. But like I said, Alexander, we are running down near the end of the episode. I give every guest this opportunity at the end of every show. If there's anything you want to get out there, whether it's for your college, whether it's what you got going on in your personal life, or if it's just a good message to get out there, I'm going to give you about a minute, and the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you all for having me on the show. Johnny asked me I think like 2 months ago, when we were closing down. So, I'm very appreciated that's something, he asked me to do while we're not at the same institution anymore. I greatly appreciate it, and, glad I could take this opportunity. For me, I moved through God. I'm a very Christian person, and with God, all things are possible. I pray in the morning, really try to live by example. So I know some people may love it, some people may hate it. I said it, but for me, it's the truth. I just want to spread, what I believe in. So with God, all things are possible. Each day is a new day. So what I mean by that is, so today's Wednesday, just really focus on what you want to do today and not tomorrow. Because if you're worried about Thursday, that's not fair to Wednesday, you know? So it's not fair to yourself what you can be doing today while thinking about tomorrow, because tomorrow may never come. So just focus on what you want to do today and make the best of it for today.
I got to tell you, Alexander, I love it when guests give a good message at the end of the show. I'm all for helping people promote what they got going on. But when it's a good message like that, it's just a nice exclamation point at the end of the episode. And yeah, we have a lot of fun when we sit and talk on here, but a message like that, I love it when that happens. And I'm actually glad I got all the promo reads out beforehand, because it never fails. Normally, when a guest gives a good message like that, I'm like, wow, I really want to just do my closing and be done. But I have to talk about these sponsors. And now I feel like it ruins the message. But I don't have to do that this time. I'm glad we don't. Thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate getting to talk to you. It was a lot of fun to sit, learn about what you do, higher education and everything like that. And as always, everybody, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways, because they might like it just because you didn't. That is going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par. But this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rocket on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off there as well.